we'll be seeing with the different phases of wound healing. Okay, so mostly wound healing, okay, we have three main phases. That is the inflammation phase, okay, then the proliferative phase, and the last one is the maturation phase. Okay, so I hope the slides is visible. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so this also, if last time I have started briefly in the class, okay, but still that time we are not able to proceed with the projector, so we are unable to continue, okay. So here actually, whenever we say wound healing, okay, we always have three phase. So the first phase is called as the inflammation phase. So this it lasted for at least 1 to 5 days. Okay. The second is the proliferative or the reconstruction phase. Okay, this it lasted for around 3 to 20 days. So actually, this phases also sometimes it depends on the wound. Okay, if the wound is very large or if it is a very deep wound, obviously it will take more time as compared to a normal small cut or a small scratch. Okay, and the last is a maturation phase. So this maturation phase also it takes up to 21 days to months, because especially a person who develop a very severe injury, okay, or severe cut or severe skin injury, obviously for that type of particular patient or for that type of particular injury, we need a very long period of time to recover. Okay, so for the healing to occur, these are the three main things which is needed. Okay, so the first we will proceed and see with the first one, that is called as the inflammation phase. Okay, so the inflammation, actually this is the first thing which occurs whenever any injury happen, or immediately when you get a cut, this is the first thing which happen. Okay, so before that, at least we will know, okay, what are, you should know what are the five main signs of inflammation which we say. Okay, so the first one is called as rubor. Okay, that means it is a redness. So even you might have also experienced whenever you get a cut injury. Okay, so immediately what happens? First of all, though, there will be because obviously vasoconstriction. When we say vaso means vessels, constrict means it's try to reduce in size. Because why? In order to control the bleeding. Okay, so in the injury site, if you also you must have experienced, we always develop redness. That means the area where the cut injury happened, it becomes very red. Okay, these are all process of inflammation only. Okay, second is heat. Okay, so when you try to touch, suppose if you got a cut in your hand, okay, then you touch it, it becomes very hot. Okay, then swelling, that means sometimes it also becomes increase in size. This is also all signs of inflammation. Pain, okay, so when you touch, you will be able to feel the pain. Sometime what happened in that particular injury area, you will also have loss of function. That means you will not be able to move it. You feel the pain immediately when you try to move it, you will feel the pain. Okay, so these are the very important signs whenever we say inflammation happens. Okay, so we have redness, which is the called as rubor, calor, which is the heat, tumor. From the what is a tumor means something which becomes very big, right? So that's why it is swelling. Dolor means pain, and functiolasia means loss of function. Okay, so these are the five important signs of inflammation. Whenever any type of inflammation, which might happen in any part of the body. Okay, so what happened now in the first thing, because immediately when you have a cut, okay, so the first main thing what happened, bleeding occurs. Yes or no? So in order to control that bleeding, first of all, we need to, the vessels needs to constrict down. So by constricting, what happened, they are trying to reduce this bleeding, or they are trying to control the bleeding. Okay. So temporary vaso means the vessels, constriction will occur. Okay. Immediately at the site of the injury, to help in controlling of bleeding due to the deposition of fibrin. Okay, actually, what are these fibrin? These are very important uh, element which helps in this formation of this platelet clot. Okay, platelet clot. These are those which are very important elements which helps in the controlling and of bleeding. How do they control it? By the formation of a fibrin. Okay, fibrin are like thread-like structures which deposit at the site of the injury. You must have also noticed, like after you get a cut, what happened? Sometimes later on, that in that particular cut area, you'll be having some like red color. This one, what do you say, cap type. Okay, so that are those are nothing but your fibrin. Okay, so this acts as a plug, or it acts as something which helps in decreasing or controlling the bleeding. Okay, so The next thing what happened, there will be dilation of the small vessel venules. Okay, whenever we say small venules, that means these are small blood vessels. Okay, so first of all, what happened, why this dilation of small venules happen? So the main reason for this dilation of the small venule is so that there will be increasing in the blood flow, okay, to that particular injury sites. And because of the increase in the blood flow, what happened in that particular injury site, okay, when you touch, it becomes very hot. Not only that, it becomes more red, and sometimes it starts swelling up. So those things, why it happens, because of the dilation of the blood, or the small blood venules or the small blood vessels. Okay, so after that, what happened, so these, okay, after that entiring, okay, first of all, they have to try to stop controlling the bleeding. So next thing what happened, then this leukocytes comes into action, okay, your red blood cells, your antibodies, plasma proteins. So what happened, all these together, they helps in the process of inflammation. Okay, leukocytes means your white blood cells, or your, these white blood cells are those which helps in fighting against any form of infection. Okay, so your RBCs, okay, red blood cells, also it is helping the antibodies, plasma protein. So what happened, all these together, they reach the sites of infection, and together, okay, it causes edema, it causes redness, warm and pain. That means you'll be able to see all the signs of inflammation here, okay, during this particular time after controlling of the bleeding. The next ups what happened, the neutrophils, which are also the white blood cells. Okay, the monocytes, these are also white blood cells, and the basal cells. They enter the wound and help in approximation of the wound edges. Okay, what when we say approximation, that means obviously when you have a cut in any part of the body, you'll be having a gap. Okay, so there will be a gap in between. So when we say approximation, that means they are trying to fill up that gap, okay, or they are trying to make that particular area becomes normal again. Okay, so that is the meaning of the word approximation. Okay, they are trying to fill up that gap whenever we have any cut injury. So this is about the inflammation phase. Okay, just remember, in inflammation phase, first of all, what will happen, vasoconstriction will happen. Okay, in order to control the bleeding. Okay, the next are what happened, there will be dilation of the small venules, or the small blood vessels, we used to say. Okay, so all this also what happened, whenever this dilation occurs, what happened, there will be increasing in the blood flow. Okay, then all these leukocytes, your antibodies, the plasma protein, all together, they will go to the injury site, and you will be able to see all the signs of inflammation. Okay, starting from the redness, from the pain, from the worm. Okay, then edema or tumor. So after that, what happened, this neutrophils comes into action. So the neutrophils and monocytes, which are the white blood cells, and the basal cells, so all these together, they help in the filling up of the gap, or we call it as a approximation of the wound edges. Okay, so they try to fill up the gap. So this is about the inflammation phase, which took around 1 to 5 days. So the second is the proliferative phase, or the reconstructive phase. Okay, so here what happened, already some form of reconstruction is, it has already been started from the inflammation phase. So but now, here the main process of reconstruction will occur. So first of all, for the reconstruction to happen, the main cells which comes into function, it is the fibroblasts. Okay, so fibroblasts are the main cells which helps in the uh, formation of this one, a structural network, we can say. Okay, so this fibroblast, what happened, so this is a type of cells which are really responsible for making the matrix as well as the collagen. Okay, so what happened, so because of the fibroblast, it used to help in the formation of a collagen and matrix, and these collagen and matrix together, they will combine, and they will help in formation of a structural framework. Okay, so for why do we need a structural framework, these are needed for filling up the gap in between the injury. Okay, so the fibroblasts multiply and form a lattice framework for migrating cells, and it also initiates the synthesis of collagen and the mucopolysaccharides. Okay, these are also form of collagen and matrix. So these things are very important. Okay, so without the collagen, without the matrix, we will not be able to have that structural framework, as we can say. Okay, so fibroblast is a very important cells which functions here during the reconstruction. Then what next, what happened, the connective tissue. Okay, And this fibroblasts also, they are also the main connective tissue which is present in the body. Okay, they are also part of the they are also act as a connective tissue. Because why we say they act as a connective tissue? Because of them only this collagen, okay, it was released and matrix was there, and because of that only we are able to have a structural framework. Okay, so the connective tissue cells multiplies and leads to endothelial budding. Endothelial budding means they are trying to, in one particular, okay, suppose one layer of cell will be developed. Again, on top of that, another layer will develop. So why does this happen? It happens in order to fill up the gap or in approximation of the wound edges. Okay, so connective tissues multiply and leads to endothelial budding, okay, of the blood vessels. And not only that, during these phases, you'll also be able to see a formation of new capillaries nearest to the injured tissue. Okay, so once the cells are being organized properly, okay, they are being, okay, the framework has been formed. Okay, then immediately after that, there will be formation of new blood vessels. Okay, so what happened? Combining of the budding capillaries, okay, and the proliferating connective tissue, it is called as a granulation tissue. So whenever we talk about reconstruction phase, you have to remember this word granulation tissue. Okay, so this is a very important mechanism which occurs during this reconstruction phase. Then by 5th to 7th day, the wound regains its strength. That means when do we say regain its strength? That means at least whatever gap that is in between, okay, any injury, it will be now filled up. Okay, so that's why only we have the reconstruction phase. Okay, so just remember, during the reconstruction phase, the first important thing you have to remember is the fibroblasts. Okay, so the fibroblasts are the main important cells for the connective tissue, which are present in numerous amount in our body. Okay, so they are the one which helps in releasing of the collagen. Okay, so collagen, it acts as a cement. Okay, like how whenever we build house, we need a cement, yes or no? So for this also, the fibroblasts are the one the which releases the collagen, which acts as a cement. So obviously, then these cement together, they will have, it helps in making a structural framework, or we can say it helps in building up, okay, the gap, whatever it is there in between the injury. And next up, what happened? Connective tissues, again, they will try to, again, they will multiply again. Okay, so obviously multiplication is needed in order to fill up the gap. So it will multiply, it will form a budding type or endothelial budding. Okay, then after that, what happened? New blood vessels also will start forming. Okay, then combination of this budding capillaries, as well as the connective tissue together, it is called as a granulation tissue. And by 5th to 7 days, the wound, it regains its strength. Okay, so this is about the reconstruction phase. Then the third phase, it is the last phase, and this is also called as a remodeling phase. Okay, so this phase, it might take 20 days up to years, okay, months, years, okay, depending on the type of injury. Okay, so about 3 weeks, okay, after the injury, the fibroblasts, it leave the wound. Okay, so they have done their part. Okay, they have helped in the formation of the structural framework. So they have helped in all those. So they are no use in, like, they have done their part. So they will leave the injury part or the wound. It is observed as an initial red, okay, raised, hard, immature scar, which is followed by a soft, flat, pale, and a mature scar. So this is, whenever we say remodeling phase, you'll be able to see all those, like whenever we have any injury. So later we used to see after few days or few weeks, okay, we'll be able to see in the particular injury site there is some like cap formation, cap scar type. Okay, and later on, what happened, that scar, sometime it fell down, okay, or it is removed, and after that the wound will be completely healed. Okay, so in short, when we say stages of wound healing, you have to remember the 3 phases. We have the inflammatory phase, okay, then this epithelialization phase, it is also called as the reconstructive phase, same only. Okay, then the maturation phase, which is the third phase. Okay, so I'll be showing you one video in order to be more clear with this. I just hope it plays. Please let me know whether it is working or not. Okay, this video. Just wait 1 second.
Medical authorities often describe
Is it audible?
in terms of overlapping phases that
Yes.
occur in the
Yes,
days
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
months following an
Okay, let
injury.
me.
These phases
Okay, let me just increase it once.
medical authorities often describe wound healing in terms of overlapping phases that occur in the days, weeks, and months following an injury. These phases are hemostasis, inflammation, proliferation, and maturation. Hemostasis is commonly included as a component of the inflammation phase, but since we've examined hemostasis in a separate video, we'll only briefly comment on hemostasis before continuing with the remainder of the inflammation phase. Hemostasis is the body's attempt to quickly stop bleeding without unnecessarily disrupting normal blood flow. In the separate video entitled Hemostasis, we saw the constriction of an injured blood vessel, the formation of a platelet plug, the strengthening of that plug by the addition of fibrin strands, and the body's protective systems preventing excessive clot growth. In this video, we'll look at just one example of a skin injury, but injuries are unique, and the healing process for those injuries varies depending on a number of factors, including the depth, size, type, and location of the wound, the presence and duration of infection, and the health and age of the person injured. So generally speaking, when the skin is injured, for example by a cut or a puncture wound, after the bleeding is stopped, a blood clot is left within the tissue, and a scab will usually form over the wound in the first few days. The beginning of the inflammation phase is marked by the migration of white blood cells into the wound. During the first few days after the injury, the body tries to clean up the wound site. Bacteria, dirt, and damaged cells, as well as other types of debris, may be present in the wound. White blood cells called neutrophils migrate from the bloodstream through the tissue and into the wound. These cells begin to engulf and digest the contaminants. This migration of cells from the bloodstream to the wound begins at the capillaries. Capillaries are the tiny vessels that connect the very small arteries to the very small veins. As the blood passes from the small artery through the capillaries and then into the small vein, oxygen and nutrients are delivered to the tissue, and carbon dioxide and other waste products are absorbed and carried away. The migration of the white blood cells is made possible by the dilation and increased permeability of these capillaries. After the capillaries dilate, circulating white blood cells are able to slip through the vessel wall and make their way to the wound. These dilated vessels cause noticeable symptoms that are traditionally associated with inflammation. The increased permeability of the vessel wall allows a greater amount of the fluid part of blood, the blood plasma, to leak into the surrounding tissue, causing the area around the wound to become swollen. The increased surface area of the dilated vessels results in greater visibility of the red-colored capillaries, giving the skin around the wound a more reddish appearance. Increased surface area also results in greater heat transfer to the surrounding tissue, making the wounded area warm to the touch. After a couple of days, the neutrophils begin to die off. At the same time neutrophils are dying off, a different type of white blood cell called a monocyte migrates from the bloodstream to continue the cleanup process. Monocytes mature into macrophages and not only continue to engulf and digest bacteria and debris, but they also engulf and digest the dead neutrophils. These cells remain in the wound, continuing to engulf and digest cellular debris as the healing process moves forward. The macrophage plays a key role in directing the next phase of wound healing. By releasing various chemicals, the macrophage attracts and stimulates other cell types to accomplish a variety of reconstructive tasks. Within days of the initial injury, the next phase of wound healing begins. This phase is called the proliferation phase or the reconstruction phase. During this phase of healing, the wound is gradually invaded by a tissue called granulation tissue. This type of tissue has a bumpy texture and a distinctive red color similar to the color of raw beef. In order to make room for its itself, the granulation tissue secretes chemicals which degrade the existing clot. One very important type of cell in this invading granulation tissue is the fibroblast. Fibroblasts produce flexible, tough, fibrous material called collagen that provides strength and structure to hold the wound together. Dense networks of new capillaries are also part of the granulation tissue. These capillaries bring oxygen and nutrients to the many cells involved in the reconstructive work. They also help to absorb and carry away many of the waste products generated as various cells and materials are degraded or digested during the healing process. As granulation tissue makes its way into the wound and an oxygen supply becomes available, cells in the upper layer of the skin, the epidermis, begin to creep across the wound until they come into contact with each other. This provides the wound with a top coat of protective skin cells. Also during this phase, the edges of the wound are gradually pulled together. A significant number of fibroblast cells are transformed into cells that function somewhat like muscle cells. These cells grip the edges of the wound and slowly contract, causing the wound edges to draw together. Older collagen within the wound is continually being degraded so that even greater amounts of new collagen may be deposited in ways that hold the progressively contracting wound together. The final phase of wound healing may last as long as 2 years. This phase is called the maturation phase, or sometimes the remodeling phase. Several weeks after the initial injury, as the proliferation phase winds down and the maturation phase begins, cells and capillaries that are no longer needed begin to thin out. During this phase, the repairs that were made during the proliferation phase are made even stronger. The original collagen material is replaced with a different, stronger type of collagen that is arranged in a more favorable pattern, and the wound continues to contract. So toward the end of the maturation phase, the wound is perfectly sealed with collagen-rich scar tissue that has little of the vibrant cell activity present during the proliferative phase. To sum up then, we've examined the phases of wound healing and seen how the wound is cleaned during the inflammation phase, how the clot is replaced with granulation tissue and a new covering of epidermal cells during the proliferation phase, and how the wound is eventually closed and sealed with scar tissue by the end of the maturation phase.